This is how you can put on more muscle by increasing the intensity of every one of your exercises. And to increase intensity, you do not have to add weight. Adding weight is definitely the most popular and one of the best ways to increase intensity, but it's not the only way. You can record yourself so that you can watch back and make sure that your form is correct, and it likely isn't perfect, so then you can tweak it so that it's better. You could add a rep, you could add 2 reps, you could add 3 reps. You could add a set for more volume. You could slow down the eccentric so that it's like 3, 4, maybe even 5 seconds if you're really crazy. And you could add a pause at the stretch at the bottom of the press. So on a bench press, at the very bottom, you're not actually letting it rest on your chest. You're still activated. Your shoulders are still stabilizing and you're ready to press, but you're just holding it down there for the stretch of your pecs. And it's a better stretch if you're using dumbbells, because then the bar's not in the way, and so you can bring back the dumbbells farther, stretching your pecs even more. And on certain machines you can do the same thing as well. But essentially, this is all to say that you don't need to increase the weight. And on certain movements like lateral raises or rear delt flies, the smaller muscle groups, you probably don't want to increase the weight, and at a certain point you can't increase the weight, so you have to increase the intensity a different way, either by adding volume, as in reps, sets, or by slowing it down, or by improving your form, whichever, or all of them, or some of them. For example, on these lateral raises, I'm using a super range of motion and I'm going really slow, so I'm using a combination of intensity techniques. And in addition to that, the way you train is important as well. There's a law of specificity, so depending on the way you perform each exercise will depend on the result you get. So you can train for power, endurance, strength, and hypertrophy. Hypertrophy is increasing the size of the muscle cell, strength is moving more weight, power is moving the weight faster, while endurance is moving that weight for a longer period of time than you did last time. If you want to train for hypertrophy, you want more time under tension at a high intensity, and the rep range doesn't particularly matter as long as it's above like 6 reps. That's usually pretty good. If you want to train for power, you want to do higher reps-ish, kind of similar to hypertrophy, but you want to do the reps quicker. You want to be more explosive and do a lot of explosive reps. And if you want to train for endurance, lighten the weight up and do a lot of reps. It's similar to power training, but slightly different. And for strength training, it's going to be the exact opposite. You load a lot of weight up and you do them for lower reps, and you lengthen your rest periods so that you can recuperate your strength and so that your central nervous system has time to calm down and reset, so that when you go back into your next set, you can go back at it with max strength. For example, my goal is to put on as much muscle as possible. I don't really have a particular goal to compete or anything. I just want to build muscle because I like the way it looks and it's what I want. And in the summer, I play for a rec soccer league, so maybe I was thinking I would train more power style than hypertrophy when it comes to the summer or late winter to prepare for soccer, because usually my hamstrings and quads tire out after like 30 minutes of running and I start to feel the fatigue. And so if I were to maybe alleviate that by training for endurance and power, then maybe it would help me, but I had never really thought about it until now. So according to the research, that's how it works, but I haven't really given it a try. I've also found that when it comes to increasing intensity for an exercise, most of the time you can just improve your form. Your form is almost never perfect, and I notice this by recording myself or watching my friends lift, because on squats or bench, the bar is generally cockeyed. Like the right side will be higher up on the press than the left side, meaning that they're probably activating or pressing with their right pec more than they are with their left, which means that they're out of sync. And when you record yourself, which I've done for my bench used to be crooked, and then I make a mental effort to straighten it out on every press and every set after that. And now I record it and my bench looks pretty perfectly straight. So most of the time you can just improve your form, which will increase intensity, because the better your form is, the more directed the intensity and work will be onto the onto the target muscle that you're isolating for. For example, having a slow eccentric is really important for me on smaller muscle groups, especially my shoulder movements like lateral raises or reverse flies, because with smaller muscle groups, I find that on the really slow eccentric, I can really feel the muscle working. But if I'm just banging out reps, I kind of lose it, and eventually my shoulder will start to feel something, but it doesn't feel like my side delt is really working on the lateral raise. And when it comes to hypertrophy training, that's exactly what you don't want. You want to feel the muscle working, and you want to get the pump into that muscle. And for side delts and rear delts, most of the time they just can't add more weight. So it is better to increase intensity without increasing weight in that case. And in some cases, maybe you just don't have the equipment to up the weight. And in that case, it would be easier to increase the intensity.